Okay, so I think today is Sunday, March 9th. So today I'm in Los Angeles, finally. So today I made pasta and ewedu, which is like this Nigerian soup I used to eat when I was a child. I used to eat even up to when I was an adult, but I made pasta and ewedu and I ate it and it was nice. But it's like Costco's. I don't know how to say it in English. Rotisserie chicken. I don't know how to pronounce it very well. Essentially, the combination slaps. I like it. So when I ate it, I slept, right? Then I slept for, I don't know, a long time. And I woke up around 11 o'clock. And then I remember this, like, there was this post I saw on Twitter, or X, if you would call it. It was a programmer telling other programmers to not, like, to have, like, take out time, like, maybe once every week, where you don't, like, you don't vibe code. There's something called vibe coding now, where you just sit back and the AI does the coding for you, right? It's just you just talk to the AI. There's this tool called Super Whisper where you just talk to the AI, and then the AI does the coding for you, right? And it's very popular now on Instagram. I'm sorry, on Twitter, right? On X amongst programmers, right? It's called vibe coding. Really nice. So the programmer was making an argument that vibe coding is good, but over reliance on vibe coding is bad because if a developer is too over reliant on vibe coding, then they are thinking, because the AI does most of the thinking and most of the coding, it means that over time the thinking skills of the developer is going to suffer, and the developer is going to become, as time progresses, is going to be more stupid, dumber, if you will. So when I read that, I was like, that's like a valid point. That's the fear that it unlocked a new fear in me, right? So today, yeah, after I woke up, right, I asked the Holy Spirit, I was like, hey, that thing that I read that is like over dependence on AI, like, is it healthy? Is it not healthy? Is it something is it something that, I should be weary of? And then it was explained to me how there is nothing like independence actually, and how we as a species are just like, we're dependent. We're dependent beings essentially. So for instance, like, we cannot survive without oxygen. We're dependent on oxygen. We cannot survive without food. You can go without food for a while, but eventually you die, right? Same thing with water, right? We're dependent on all these substances, and all these elements to survive on the planet, figuratively and literally. And in the same vein, we're also dependent on each other to survive. Do you understand? So, so I was like, okay, yes, we're dependent beings, right? But I was all like, okay, but does the over dependence on AI dumb us down? Will it like make us more stupid? I was like, no, dependence on anything doesn't make you stupid. It makes you, that when I eat food, does food make me weaker? I was like, no, it makes me stronger. So when I breathe oxygen, does it make me weaker? I was like, no, it makes me stronger. He said, okay, why do I now think that AI, which is like oxygen for your brain, will now make your brain dumber? That iron actually sharpens iron. So iron sharpens iron essentially. So AI is a form of iron, and human intelligence is another form of iron. So what AI is going to do is that AI is going to sharpen human. It's going to sharpen human intelligence, essentially, human expression, right? So this is actually where the conversation actually starts. Everything I just said is just preamble. So I was like, what does it mean by like sharpening like human sharpening human expression, right? Then it was like new forms of like expression will be like developed. And I was like, okay, like give me an example of a new form of expression that we can have, right? So it now talk to me about like books, for instance, right? we have audiobooks, yeah, which is a book where the person is just like somebody's reading the book essentially. He's like talking, right? And some people like prefer that, right? Okay. Right, which is cool. But what about like an FX book, a book that nobody is reading it for you? It's just that the every chapter of the book, um, is how music have like movies have like OSTs, yeah, they have like effects, they have like sound, they have OSTs essentially. Today I was running through, I was talking to ChatGPT about this, like this I about this it's called if you can hear me. It's like this app that allows you to it's like Find My, Apple's Find My, right? But it's like I'll say like a cruder version of it, because it relies on, you just say if you can hear me essentially. Let's say your phone is in one room and you can't find it, and you are inside the house, but your phone is inside the house. So you just shout, if you can hear me, for instance, and then if the phone can hear you, since we have all this artificial intelligence phone, we have AI now, and AI can listen, AI can talk. So if the phone can hear you, your phone will respond, be like, hey, I'm here, come and pick me. Or even if you want to make it more fun, you can have like a nicer, like a nicer catchphrase, right? So I give an example. There's this movie, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. It has like it has this very nice call. Da 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 da. Yeah. So I was like, okay. So let's say your phone is like in one room, right? And you're in the other room. You can just you can, when you're setting up the app, you can set it up to respond to that. So you can just say da 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 da, and then your phone in the other room is to play the concluding part of that soundtrack and be like da 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 da, right? Or you can snap your finger 2 times, or you can come up with creative ways of, like, it doesn't have to be shouting. You don't have to shout, can you hear me? It's just that can you hear me is just like the most generic form of it, right? So essentially you say something and then the phone will respond. And we tested it. I took my phone, I put it in my room, and then I went to the living room, and then I shouted, can you hear me? I talked to ChatGPT advanced voice mode about it. So we did the little experiment, and it worked. It responded like, yes, I can hear you. Right. So so essentially what I was getting at was like effects. That movie, The Good, Bad, the Bad and the Ugly, it has like a soundtrack. Yeah, yeah. Now I can't remember what happened in the movie. I was very young when I watched it. But I can't forget that soundtrack. The soundtrack was the highlight of the movie for me, right? So in the same vein, right, what if with AI now, books can start having, soundtracks, right? Books can start having soundtracks. Books can start having sound effects. Do you understand? So for instance, if the chapter of the book is describing, is talking about, let's say the chapter of the book is talking about let's say the chapter of the book is talking about the character walking through, okay, example, let's say it's like a twist on Snow White, right? And then Snow White is like walking through the desert. Let's just use desert as an example. Like, let's say Snow White is walking through the desert in Nevada. You understand? Right. Instead of like an audiobook that is reading that chapter to you. No, you're reading it normally, right? But the chapter will have its own soundtrack that fits, that is contextual with everything happening in that chapter. And then you can have like desert type sounds playing in the background. So like maybe wind, like wind just like blowing, and then maybe across the screen, at the bottom of the screen somewhere, maybe like a tumbleweed will just blow across. Just that, it's not, it's just that chapter. Finish. You are reading it. The chapter is talking again. The chapter is talking about Snow White walking through a desert. Do you understand? Maybe she's tired, she's thirsty, and then when you get to that chapter, at the bottom of the chapter, maybe once in every, I don't know, 8 or 9 seconds, a tumbleweed, will just like, it's just roll across the bottom of the screen. Do you understand? And the bottom of the screen can be like sandy too, right? And then that chapter will have like, that chapter, because it's talking about our experience journeying through a desert, right, would have like its own sound effects. It will have its own sound effects. It will have its own soundtrack. Now, what it will not have is like somebody reading it. No, nobody's reading it to you. You are still reading it with your normal eyes, the way you would read, right? But now you have sound effects. You have it's like the antithesis to like, it's like, okay, is the synonym to vibe coding, something like vibe reading. I don't want to call it that, right? But the book is alive, essentially. It has its own soundtrack. Every chapter has its own soundtrack, and all the pages are live, essentially. They have their own different themes. So if it's like a jungle theme, right, you can be hearing drums, doom, 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 at the background, like, it's playing, and then leaves can be like, the whole page can have like a very subtle leafy background, but it's just be in the background. It won't be prominent enough to like interfere with your reading. All these things are just background, so they're going to be very subtle, right? So those people talking to me about that is like another form of expression, and that I'm doing a very terrible job at describing this, by the way, because it's not my talent. Do you understand? But I'm pretty sure there are people that are, that this is their talent. They just don't know yet that this is their talent, because this form of expression is not mainstream yet. You understand? So, for instance, somebody like Hans Zimmer, right? If movies did not have like scores, yeah, somebody like Hans Zimmer would have just ended up as like, I don't know. We wouldn't have known, the world would not have known Hans Zimmer, for instance. What made Hans Zimmer popular was because movies had scores, right? And then Hans Zimmer discovered that he was very good at scoring movies. Do you understand? So in the same vein, there are people that maybe are not good at creative writing. Maybe they're not good at creative writing, but maybe they are good at like maybe creative scoring. I don't know, scoring books. Do you understand? They are just that's what he's good at. Do you understand? So essentially, he was just trying to calm me down that, okay, AI might take away your current job, if you will, but it will not take away your livelihood. It will give you like a different livelihood, right? So an author might not have to focus on the writing of the book. It might focus on like the scoring of the book, like scoring the book, getting a nice soundtrack, the feel and the making sure every single page is alive, the feel of the page. And this is not just generating images. I'm not talking about generating images for each book or for each, like, I don't know how to explain it. You know what will happen? I'll make not an app this time. I'll just look for one chapter. Maybe I'll extract a chapter from like a very famous book, and then I'll try to score it. I'll make AI generated music. I'll feed it to the AI and be like, okay, generate like, what's the most appropriate soundtrack for this? So we'll generate a soundtrack, and then we'll generate effects that like go with the theme of that chapter, the thing that is happening in that chapter. And then I'll look at the results and see how I feel about it. I'm not an avid reader, so maybe this is the things that are holding me back from like reading. Maybe it's because it doesn't feel alive enough. So if I try this experiment out, and if I like it, then maybe I'll like proceed to make an app that just does this on the fly, where it can take a book like, I don't know, Gulliver's Travel or Oliver Twist or Pilgrim's Progress or The Hunger Games, or like insert any classic, any nice book that is out there, and then the AI will score the book, because now AI can actually generate music on the fly, and then it will add effects to it. Do you understand? So for instance, Dune. Let's use Dune again, right? So let's say you're reading about Frank Herbert's Dune, right? The original Dune, right? And we now make it like I don't want to call it vibe reading. Do you understand? But that's like what it's called. Like it's an SFX book essentially. But SFX book sounds very dorky and nerdy. I don't want to. But vibe reading is just like more Gen Z, more current vibe stuff. Okay, cool. So let's say we are doing Dune. We are going to vibe read Dune, right? So it's going to be Dune, but now you're in the desert of Arrakis and you're hearing all this like, again, you're hearing like all this whistling of the wind. The wind is whistling. You know how wind does in the desert, and if there's a scene where the protagonist is like running, you can have that that page will have that like soundtrack, that FX where the protagonist is running, like an action scene essentially, stuff like that. But again, nobody's reading the book to you. It's not an audio book, so it's not as if there's somebody reading to you. No, you're the one doing the reading. It's just that the book now has a soundtrack and it has sound effects, and then the pages too. It has that aesthetic essentially. Maybe I should just call it aesthetic reading essentially, or vibe reading. I don't know what to call it. I'm struggling. God was like, I should not be worried about the name. I should worry about like nailing the experience essentially. So I'm going to try as much as possible to nail the experience. But what I'm really excited about is that I believe there are people on this planet that have that talent. It's a talent that some people have that is probably going to make them like multi-billionaires or multi-millionaires, and they don't know yet that they have that talent. Why? Because it's AI that is going to unlock that talent in them. Do you understand? So it's AI creating new, maybe taking away a job, which is writing. Do you understand? And unlocking, and then replacing it with like, but not taking away the livelihood essentially, replacing it with like a new form of work. That is, so an author, for instance, might not need to essentially focus on writing his book. You might focus on like scoring the book or making the book come alive. Do you understand? Or you can have a collaboration between a author and the Hans Zimmer of scoring books. Maybe in the future we'll have somebody that is just like Hans Zimmer, but instead of scoring movies, the guy is just, or the girl is just really good at scoring books. You understand? And so you might not necessarily read the book because of the book. You might read the book because of the score. There's an adage where I come from that my dad used to say. You say, I'll struggle to translate this to English, but I'll try. You say, Toba tori epo jeshu, watori ishu jepo. So there are two things here. There's epo, which is oil, and then there's ishu, which is like yam. It's like mashed potatoes, right? It's like potato, right? So the adage is saying, if you don't want to eat the oil, yam, right? You don't want to eat yam, but you like oil, right? You want to eat the oil. So you're going to eat the yam because of the oil. And there are some people that don't want to eat oil. They hate oil, but they like yam, right? So they are going to eat the yam because of the oil. They are going to eat the oil because of the yam. It's like, I don't know how to explain it to you. Let me try to translate it to like something more. I don't know how to translate it. But my dad used to say it. So you might not necessarily want to read the book because of the book. You might like the score of the book. Like me now, again, the good, the bad, and the ugly. If you ask me to tell you what happened in the book, I can't. What happened in the movie, I can't remember. I was a child, but I remember that sound. Da 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 da. I can't forget it. So the score stuck with me, but the book itself went away. It disappeared into oblivion. The movie itself disappeared into oblivion. I can't remember what happened. I can't remember a scene out of it, but the soundtrack stuck. So essentially, if you don't want to read a book because of the content of the book, you might read the book because of the score of the book, right? And vice versa. Right? My brain is barking. Okay. So again, like I said, so next thing I'm working on now is not necessarily an app, right? I'll just try to I'll look for a chapter in a book, and then I'll try to score the chapter. I know I'm going to do a terrible job at it because, number one, I know this is not my talent, right? But again, like I said, I know there are people on the surface of this earth now that this thing is going to make them this book scoring, right? It's going to make them or vibe reading. I don't know. It's going to make them fucking rich. Do you understand? So I'm just going to try it and put it on. I'm going to try an example of it and put it out. Again, I wish I could find somebody that can read, that used to read actually, that is an avid reader, and then I'll walk or kind of bounce this idea off the person and see how. It's just the Holy Spirit that was talking to me about it just now. So yeah. So I'll just try to do. Let's just for tentatively let's call it vibe reading essentially. Yeah. I'll just title this thing vibe reading later. Bye bye. I have to get back to work. So today I'm doing that 24-hour working thing. I'm going to have to work for 24 hours today. So I'm charging my laptop. I'm charging everything. So once you finish charging, we'll get to work. And then tomorrow I'll go to the beach. Immediately I finish working, I'll sleep and then I'll go to the beach. Maybe Venice, or if the beach is not nice, if the beach is not if the weather is not okay, let's say maybe it's raining or something, then maybe I'll go to the cinema or something. I'll just do something else. Yeah, so that's it. Vibe reading.